showing this.
Nice. You're working at a place though, right?
I'm working right now for a tutor at Bond, and I'm doing some other instruction type stuff.
I see.
More like teaching jobs. I think teaching jobs are really hard to do.
Oh wow.
They don't have a lot of people, especially with math and stuff. They don't really have a lot of people in those departments.
I see, but correct me if I'm wrong. You did comp science slash I see in college or
Computer science, math, and philosophy.
I see. Yeah.
A bunch of everything, but yeah, I made this.
What kind of job you're trying to get just more to say now, or like something properly in the computer science?
Probably something properly in computer science.
Okay.
Oh, Taha, we're having a little bit of an issue with the mic. We don't usually have issues with the mic. Sorry. We don't. I say don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing at you.
Something more stable.
Definitely. Much like science stuff.
Did I do this or did you do this?
Yeah, it's good. To do, it's good to do.
You're good to go,
do
though?
those things
Yeah, it's already
like,
live.
working towards,
Oh,
like, more
snap.
stable position, but yeah. So yeah, happy with that.
Also, can you put it up a little bit low? Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Farouk. I'm programming the Father Cafe. This is the second week in our grounding module on navigating impossible challenges into the Lion's Den. We're going to be specifically highlighting and pulling from Surah Yusuf, inshallah. I'm joined by two excellent speakers. I have Brother Awais Sheikh on my right, and then also on my right is Brother Omar Al-Fadl. So that didn't distinguish it at all. They are both representatives of Forerunners, which is on his shirt right over there. They're the founders of this company, actually. I'm sure they'll tell you more about it, inshallah. And we brought them in to talk about specifically workplace dysfunction, because they really are about like aligning your purpose and your Islamic values with your employment. Because as Muslims, a lot of us, we tend to like kind of segregate our work life and our spiritual life, and sometimes with our personal life too. But as a Muslim, it's really, really critical to kind of align all these different factors and use every single waking day in your life in service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that includes navigating very difficult situations in your workplace. I'm sure that many of you have dealt with those problems. I'm going to hand it over to them and they'll elaborate on that, inshallah. We will plan on ending the talk parts at Isha prayer at 8 o'clock, and then we'll come back for discussions, inshallah. So without further ado, Brother Omar Al-Fadl and Awais Sheikh.
Just a couple of housekeeping things. I don't think this is working.
I think it is working back there.
Oh, okay. We also have Tamam Hamad here, alhamdulillah. So her mother's teaching downstairs and she's helping us upstairs. She's with Forerunners. And so she's going to be helping out with some of the discussion and some of the prompts, alhamdulillah. Omar mentioned Forerunners, and he has represented Qahwa, and actually I want to talk about an organization that's neither of those, so we're going to throw a little curveball. There's another organization that both of us now, as of this week, are board members of. That's a funny story, called Glass Lamp Institute. Glass Lamp Institute. And it's actually at the foundation. It's part of the origin story for Forerunners, and it's an institute that was founded by Omar's mother, Dr. Zainab Alwani, and really based off of the teachings of her father, Sheikh Taha Jabir Alwani. And the whole purpose of Glass Lamp Institute is to have a relationship with the Quran, right? Like not just make the Quran something that you're reading during Ramadan, or you're doing your hifz or your memorization or just your daily reading, but actually something that you have a relationship with, right? That like when you're thinking about workplace situations, family situations, all the different things that go on in our day-to-day life, you can actually go back to the Book of Allah for guidance. You can walk that path with Rasulullah sallallahu based on that. So I would encourage everyone to check that out. It's glasslampinstitute.org.com. That's right, thank you. And more information about that, inshallah. And I say that because that's really what this series is about. When Omar and I were talking about Farouk, and I were talking about the series, we were like, man, there's so many things that are out there in terms of just into the lines and how do we deal with impossible situations, right? Sometimes we feel like last week we heard Ustad Dadia and Imam Majid talking about family situations that feel kind of impossible. And how do you deal with those? Today we're talking about workplace, and like even Omar Farouk was mentioning, these things go much better when we're actually following a surah from the Quran. And we're reflecting, wow, Surah Yusuf has actually all of these, right? It's so rich. That's why it's described as the best of stories, because it has so many lessons that if we really spend the time to reflect on it, it's going to be something that can benefit us in the here and now. It's not something like, oh, let me read this for the barakah and then maybe a little humble. It's like, no, it's a book of guidance, right? So how many people were here last week? Just have a show of hands. Okay, a couple people. Let me just hear like one or two. What were some insights from last week, real quick? Popcorn style. What was an insight? What was something that you remember from last week? Now, that means you're going to be called. You gotta say it. What's something? Forgive. Yeah, right? Actually, that's going to come up again today. Right? Surah Yusuf is actually a story of forgiveness. What reference is this regard? I'm super comfortable with awkward silence, so yeah.
We talked about boundaries.
Boundaries, yeah, right? So there's actually an element, do you remember the part where Surah Yusuf actually discusses boundaries? When Yaqub alayhi salam was like, hey, you don't have to tell your brothers all this, right? Let's just set some boundaries, okay? Okay, let me ask a couple questions and then you're gonna hear from my better half, my work husband.
Oh my God. It's live on 2 different places. Yeah.
Why did that back? Why did that?
He thinks his wife, he knows how to make up for that right here.
Yeah, my real wife. Why are you guys here? What are some of the, maybe this is a part where we can start like writing some of these down, like what are some of the difficult or challenging work situations you find yourself in? Whether it's like an acute situation, meaning like something that's very tangible, or if it's like a general thing.
Constantly being in like mixed gender environments.
Yeah, mixed gender environments, right? How many people have had the weird, awkward, like,
Yeah.
right? You have that weirdness, okay? What else?
Going to forced social events where there's the alcohol.
Yeah, right? Happy hour. How many
Yeah.
people have had to make excuses, like, I gotta study for a blood test for happy hour, I can't make it, right? Todd?
Mine was happy hour.
Yours is happy hour, right? Yeah, it's like everywhere. Someone else has something? That's it, we covered it all with happy hour.
Any space where there's like a clear passive aggression towards someone who's outwardly Muslim.
Yeah, right? I mean, like, whether it's explicit or not, how many people have felt it? It felt like just kind of, whether you call it overt discrimination or just like this weird, queasy feeling because of your overt or implicit Islam? No, just me? Okay, what else? Yeah,
Working in a team or in an organization where you are significantly older than many of the others.
yeah, yeah, sometimes it's just that.
When you hit your mid-30s, you could be doomed.
Age, like ageism, right? Okay?
I feel like there's a general lack of accommodation, whether it be like for mental struggles, but also for like prayer times or Ramadan schedules, right?
Yeah, yeah, so like, it's just the practical logistics of it, right? How am I, now it's like, especially with the time change, you have like Fajr, and then you're like trying to figure out how to pray Dhuhr, Asr, and Maghrib, across all those.
There's
Wow.
another sister in
Yeah,
Oh,
just shut them out, yeah.
Yeah, mine isn't really Islam related, but I work in Apple Store, so just like constant need to be high energy and more extroversion, communication.
Yeah, like it's sometimes it's like a weird mismatch, right? Like I'm in a job where I have to be on all the time, so to speak. I have to be in front of customers, in front of clients. I have to have that awkward smile when we start our like Zoom call or whatever. And how's the weather up there? You know, how's it going? Like small talk. It's weird.
And this is any workplace this one, so it doesn't have to be Islamic related.
Politics.
Say more.
when people are making comments about the Middle East or, president.
Yeah, how many people work in government-related stuff, right? And depending on, yeah.
I work with politicians.
Huh?
I work with politicians.
You work with politicians, mashallah, yeah.
Tell me about
Allah ain't it, bro.
Yikes.
What else?
working with Muslims themselves.
Working with Muslims, yeah, I would be like, I don't want to be associated with those
Hold on,
guys.
say more about that. What is that about?
I represent Muslims for my business.
Yeah.
So I'm like the representation of what it means to be Muslim for the political sector.
Okay, so you're representing the whole community,
For like candidates who are running for office.
and what's the challenge there?
I can tell you the challenge there, bro, like it's, like, we don't represent all that well sometimes, and you're like, hey, I thought you're supposed to be getting me the Muslim, vote, and the guy who hosted this thing is 30 minutes late, and they're, it's like, oh, inshallah, it'll happen, right? Am I getting on the right track?
Muslim time.
Muslim time?
Muslim time.
Let's do one or two more.
Working for a company that's like doing haram things.
Yeah, right, whether it's, so sometimes it's like straight haram stuff, right? If I'm working for, I don't know, like an alcohol company or some company that's involved in gambling. But now increasingly there's like, what if my company is part of one of those lists? How do I feel about that? Or it's funded by one of those, people that support certain things, like how do I feel about that? I think those are some realities that we're having to face too. Yeah?
Just like you're a toxic manager.
Toxic manager, yeah. Right, the guy who gives you you're not in consulting, you're in accounting.
Yeah.
There's the please fix, you get the please fix call in the middle of the weekend on Sunday, like, hey, can you fix this slide deck? And you're like, dude, can't you do it? Like, put a slide deck together in 10 years, okay.
I guess this kind of has to do with the politics thing, but I have a Starbucks at my job, and my coworkers are like, "Oh, do you want to get something from Starbucks?" I'm like, "No," and they're like, "You never get anything. Why not?" I'm like,
Yeah. Let me tell you about this BDS thing, right? And it's weird. It's kind of awkward. Okay. Awesome. Well, yeah.
Your own, like, frustration at everyone else for, like, their clear, like, okay, I personally have this issue where the people that I deal with are, like, very disconnected from, like, I personally feel like they're disconnected from reality.
Yeah.
Like, I have to withhold myself
Yeah.
from, like, screaming at these people, because I'm just like, how are you so, like you're
Clueless.
clueless.
Yeah.
And so it's my issue in a lot of these spaces is myself and having to control myself and just continue on.
Yeah. No, and sometimes it's even more frustrating, I don't know, for me, it's like, it's even more frustrating than the people who are overtly Islamophobic, because at least I know, like, okay, you're informed, but you're just like, whatever. But the people who are just straight ignorant about it, you're like, what? And then they'll come and talk about stuff that's like so, like, the Oscars or whatever happened to.
Like, they don't care.
Yeah.
And I get angry. I care so much that people don't care. And
Yeah.
I care too much.
That's real. That's real.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Has anyone dealt with lying coworkers? Like coworkers that are lying to you? What about some form of sexual harassment? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then last question before I turn over to Ahmad, what we're gonna do is, we always somewhat, is over here, we always kind of break this format, because I don't like us doing a lot of talking and then doing discussion afterwards. I like doing some talking and then some discussion, and we'll break it up that way, if that's okay with you all. What do you guys think, just out of curiosity, what do you think Sud Yusuf has anything to do with this? What does Sud Yusuf have anything to do with this? Just guesses.
When he worked for last season, he was sexually harassed.
Yeah, right? I mean, there would be a HR case against the wife of an Aziz in modern parlance, right? But you could argue it was swept under the rug. You could probably say he worked in a toxic workplace. We'll talk a little bit about that. What else?
He was a slave.
Yeah, I mean, talk about I don't want to analogize him being an actual slave with like our seemingly indentured servitude of working for corporations, but there's, you know, there's some interesting things there maybe to explore. Maybe one more.
I guess like the passive aggression for being Muslim only in his time, it was just straight up aggression. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a straight aggression, right? And the plotting, the conniving,
Yeah.
you know, some of those types of things, whether overtly or behind his back, like some of those, like we were saying, kind of politics,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think you could say that there are definitely politics involved in the story of Yusuf. So, relevant to our times, relevant to some of these things, maybe? All right, we got some head nods, so we'll see if Roma can change your mind. Yeah. Go ahead. So maybe give us a sort of like, when we left off last time, we talked a lot last week about, you know, the family dynamic, right? And so now he's left in a well by his own family, and now he's brought back and found, and it's not like, oh yes, I'm found, I'm good, you know? It's like, oh wow, we have a young strapping man, we could probably use this guy. And as the sister said, he's sold into slavery, so talk about that dysfunctional work environment.
Yeah, it's really interesting because as we were reflecting on Surah Yusuf and in context of the workplace, because mashallah last week was an amazing talk, I got a lot out of it. The thing that strikes me about his brothers being the ones that were like, kind of like jealous and noticing like his position and status with his father. So of course that's a family dynamic, but you know, in the workplace, we see this all the time, right? Some people are like the favorite, you know, out of the team. The boss is always favoring them or seeing them in a certain light or putting them in positions to be able to like grow and give them exposure. Who's faced that before? Anybody seen it? Okay. And then
So maybe it's the bottom raise right. She works for us, that's why it's kind of funny.
imagine like you're that person, right? You're the one that's being favored. Look, I was that guy. It's not easy, right? Where the people that you're working with obviously know, like, oh yeah, you're the boss's favorite, you know? He knows that too. But in this case, subhanAllah, we realized that Yusuf was being, you know, planned against, and there was a conspiracy against him from his own team. You know, his brothers, his siblings. So it wasn't anything from the outside, like at work. You know, we think sometimes, oh, we're always scared of the competition, or how do we beat the competition? How do we beat the external forces? But in this case, Sayyidina Yusuf, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the story of Yusuf in a way where the conniving and the backbiting and the literal throwing, you know, in the well was by his own team.
You don't understand, like, you threw somebody under the bus?
Yeah,
You literally got thrown into a well.
by his own people. Right, by
Jealousy
his
is
own
a
people.
very bad thing, jealousy.
Jealousy?
Very dangerous.
Exactly.
See, he got killed by almost his brother because of only thing, jealous.
Exactly, it was that jealousy. Yeah.
I was gonna say it stemmed from resentment, but being resentful or holding a grudge is like taking poison, expecting the other person to get sick.
Being resentful, it's like taking poison, right? Or giving poison, you know, and letting that get worse and worse and worse to the point that you're trying to get rid of someone who's on your side. He's with you, right? So that happens in the workplace in so many different ways. I'm sure we all have different kinds of stories around people that have been envious of us or jealous, or we've been jealous of somebody else, who then when you step back and say, wow, like, they're actually making our team better. We're part of the same group. And so that's what happens in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Yusuf, how the shaitan is working so hard and doing extra work to get you to go against one another. And then how do you fight against that?
The mic, it's muted. No, the one you're holding.
The one I'm holding?
Yeah.
Alright.
Is it green? No?
It's not green.
Uh-oh.
Oh, now it's green, okay. Okay, the other part of that is if we think about Sayyidina Yusuf, he was the most beautiful person created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many of the scholars say he was like 50% of this world's beauty was in Sayyidina Yusuf. So if we think about how much we want to, like, if you were to ask, I want to look the best, I want to dress the best, I want to be the best at this, I want to be the richest, I want to be the wealthiest, I want to be, but in Sayyidina Yusuf's case, it actually worked against him in the beginning, right? And when it came to the wife of, the minister, right? Where his beauty was actually the reason why people were working against him, right? And so when we think about that and say, okay, so the external, the things that we have externally that other people can observe are the things that actually we have to work so hard to minimize the impact of that on other people, because it can be a source of jealousy and envy, because it can be a source of, conniving and people planning against you, because they see, oh man, this person, they have everything going for them, I don't, so how do I take them down?
There's another thing about the whole story that strikes me. If you think of Surah Yusuf as like a play or a movie or something like that, you're kind of just dropped into certain scenes. You know what I mean? So like you're dropped in to the scene where the wife of Al-Aziz, corners him, and then, she calls him, like we know like that whole story. But like that didn't come out of nowhere, right? So the thing that's interesting is like you're left with the implication, like think of that, if that was like day, 300 or, maybe even like 1,000 on the job, think of what day 200 was like, right? Think of what day 463 was like. Think of what day, 800 was like, So the one of these things about being in a toxic and work environment and how like grueling and grinding and kind of soul-sucking that can be, right? Imagine the patience of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, that he had to be in a place, he had no choice, but he couldn't be like, hey, I quit. So where are you gonna go? Like literally you have no place to go, right? And so he's having to work in this environment. It's an environment where obviously there's a lot of toxicity, right? He's being called to do stuff that he doesn't wanna be involved in, right? So I just there's like a sense of empathy, right? Like how many people feel that, right? Like feel that like on his behalf, like just being stuck in this situation. And that's the most amazing thing about the story of Yusuf. When we say into the lion's den, like when you're in an impossible situation, you don't see a way out. Like can you imagine when Yusuf alayhi salam is hearing the footsteps of his brothers walking away when he's in the well? What's he thinking? Like, how am I gonna get out of this? Like seriously, put yourself in that position. Can you imagine when you're like in this situation where this person who's your boss essentially is calling you to do this thing, and you're like, where do I go? I can't even go anywhere in this physical place. I'm trying to leave the physical place, but like, where am I gonna go? And that's why, just to jump to the punchline, I think the punchline of Surah Yusuf is the verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that Yusuf alayhi salam says, إِنَّهُ مَن يَتَّقِي وَيَصْبِرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. That whoever has taqwa and has patience, and patience is it's not a passive thing, it's like I'm actively trying to deal with my ignorant coworkers and my toxic boss and my manager, right? And my this, then Allah sees all that. Like Allah is going to be able to take care of you. And another verse is with Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a beautiful series of passages. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. That whoever has this taqwa of Allah, that they're conscious that look, whatever situation I'm in, I don't know why I'm here, I don't know why I'm working for this company, they're probably haram for me to work with or whatever, and ya Allah, I just know that I want to be closer to you. I don't even know how to do that right now. I'm in the lion's den. I'm literally in the well. Right? I don't know what to do, but I know that if I have you at the forefront and I say whatever I want to do, he'll provide a way out from a place you never imagined. Right? You never imagined. And that's the beauty of the story of Yusuf, is that you see I mean, if you just took the beginning and you took the end, you're like, oh, Yusuf was, you know, born to a maybe low income family, and he became, you know, a governor and brought his whole family out of, you know, poverty. Wow, what a great story. No, hold on, you skipped a few things. He was thrown in a well, he was thrown in jail, so it's like, it's crazy. I don't know, that gets me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when you think about how his brothers, like you said, left him in a well, and so now they thought that they were destroying his future. You know, there are a lot of times at work, you have people that are like, you know, they overlook you, they don't give you that promotion that you were looking for, that you worked really hard for, you don't get that, you know, that pay increase, and you're just like, man, they don't like me, you know, they're against me. And in Surah Yusuf, Allah teaching us that sometimes those people that think they're destroying your future and hurting you from getting to that next level, they're actually laying the groundwork for you to rise in a different way, right? And that's what happened with Yusuf alayhi salam. His brothers, unknowingly, they thought they threw him in the depth of that well, when what they did was they created the circumstances for him to be tested internally to show the beauty that he has that's even more than the external beauty that Allah gave him. Through the tests that he went through, that you mentioned, whether it was prison, and in prison, what happened? First, he's like, okay, I have my chance to get out. So that first guy that asked him about his dream, and he's like, okay, if I give you the dream, right?
Oh, okay, hold on.
Right.
He gets excited. He's gonna jump ahead. All right, so we're gonna do our first like discussion. So our first discussion is gonna be this question of how do you maintain ihsan, like excellence, both in like your character, but also how you show up in a difficult work situation or a difficult work environment. So what you do is get into groups around you, like maybe 5 or 6, and just, you know, introduce yourselves, and then talk about like what's one situation that you might be facing, and how do you, you know, just give each other tools. Like how do you try to maintain, and this doesn't have to be like an Islamic thing where you're like, oh, I say astaghfirullah all the time, right? It might just be like, man, you know, for me, like just getting a workout is enough for me to like just get away from this. Or, you know, I come to a qahwa session because it's like a break, you know, from whatever it is. So try to be like pragmatic and practical, but the question is, how do you maintain this ihsan, this excellence in character and showing up in a difficult work situation, inshallah. So we'll give you guys like 10 minutes to discuss. Alright, let's just take like 2 more minutes. Inshallah, I know it's like not enough time, but let's just take a couple more minutes and then we'll come back. Alright, Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum, get everyone back, inshallah. Let me hear just a couple people real quick. These things always mess me up. I'll stand over here. Alright, what are a couple of insights that you got? Give me some very practical tips. What's one thing you took away from this that you can do in a difficult work situation to just maintain ihsan in whatever way, shape, or form? Yeah?
I try to remind myself that first I'm talking to Allah and then I'm talking to this person.
Yeah.
Like Allah is like, so okay, anything you say gets lost in translation, gets lost in communication. Everyone has a mental voice.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is that like whether or not someone receives what you're trying to say is like it's about your intention. It's about whether or not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also willing to allow this person to like understand your message.
How many times does the Quran say that, right? Your job is only to warn, it's only to invite, it's only to like tell people. You're not responsible for what's in their heart. Yeah, Jazakallah khair, sister. I think it's an awesome point of just like remembering and reminding yourself that Allah's part of any of these conversations, along with what's my responsibility, and not taking on more than what's under your control, right? So I think it's an awesome one. Let's do just one more real quick.
Hang on to your self-respect, hang on to your integrity, and to the self-respect of whatever is good about the job that you were doing and the people you were serving. Now, in Washington, D.C., this is a real problem that we have in here. Everybody is, sooner or later, I think anybody who's particularly as a contractor, I'm a gig worker basically in technical documentation. Sooner or later, you're gonna run into some pretty rotten people, and you'll run into some of them in the most prestigious companies on the planet. So be alert to that. We also brought up the point that this is a real problem, an ongoing problem in this urban environment itself, and it would be good if we had a group here at Adams to get together regularly to discuss this with our personal experience.
Amazing, yeah. Just having the companionship sometimes, right?
Well, yes, sir.
Just having
Thank you.
one other person even, right? They can just be like, man, I like dealt with some characters today. Like I just need to drown myself with like normal people, right?
Well, there's still some left.
Well, there's still some left, especially in this town. Okay, before Isha, I want to at least maybe start where he was going, which is continuing with this following Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, right? And the story of when he starts going into prison, right? This is not a raise your hand question, but a rhetorical question. How many people have worked in an environment where you feel like you're kind of in a prison? Okay, well yeah, rhetorical, but yeah, cool, yeah, we've been there. So yeah, what do we learn from Yusuf's experience, even in a place like prison, where he's like, man, things are so bad in my work environment, I'd rather be here, right? Like I'm like self-incarcerating myself. Basically, I'm giving myself up to the authorities, because that's better than this. Like this, talk about a toxic work environment.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like we're working together and then, you know, coaching, being a manager for a long time, and you hear certain, and doing a lot of interviews for people to come join our team and stuff, you hear people talking about their work experience as like, yeah, I felt enslaved, you know, I felt so micromanaged to the point where like I have no agency anymore, like I don't even have a choice. People are monitoring me all the time.
I work for you, so I don't have that problem.
No, you didn't have it. But the people that I remember coming over, that used to come over, like, and we would have these interviews, and they would literally describe their work environment.
Well, nodding your head a lot.
No. It was like as if they were literally describing like a prison environment, right? And so, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls Surah Yusuf and the story of Yusuf Ahsan al-Qasas, like the best of stories, because it has so much resonance around so many different, you know, parts of our lives. And so, the way he gets to prison, right, was due to a sexual harassment problem, like we mentioned in the beginning. And so, he literally says the prison is better for me than this environment, right? Than what they're calling me to do. And so he kind of makes the choice.
Which, by the way, that's also because he makes a point and I don't remember the Arabic of the verse, I'll look it up, but he says that the soul is inclined to evil. So that's the other thing, like, he recognizes that, like, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm tested. And like sometimes I feel like, and I'm speaking to myself first and foremost, like you feel like, oh well, I'll trust myself, I'll be okay. You know, I'll go to that thing and I'll make sure I don't, you know, do this or do that. I'll go to that conference and I'm good. You know, like I've been taught well by my parents, stuff like that. And Yusuf alayhi salam was like, you know what, if I can avoid it, I'm not gonna even put myself in that. I'm not gonna go to Vegas, you know, for that conference. I'm not gonna go to, you know, that like happy hour situation, because like I just don't even want to put myself in a situation that's like harmful. And yeah, it may kill my promotion chances. In his case, it'll kill my chances of freedom, literally. But I don't, and I think that's like a really powerful lesson of like, just like if you can avoid a situation, just avoid the situation, you know? Don't like fool yourself.
I mean, you always, you're, mashallah, like, you know, and like our brother here was saying, Charles.
Yes.
And this is real. Like, I know someone specifically that never thought that they had to deal with, that they would have to deal with sexual harassment. But through different situations, when I asked them later, what led to this happening? They literally pointed at themselves and said, I put myself in a situation that this is what was gonna happen. And they later, you know, massive regret, right? Because it was micro choices that led to that big. Now in this case, Yusuf was saying that Yusuf, he was a slave. It wasn't a choice. He didn't make the choice to be in that household. And he didn't make the choice to be a beautiful person. Allah created him that way. So Allah shows us through his story that he didn't make a lot of the choices that led to the places he ended up being or the situations he ended up being in. And that's why it is such a beautiful story. Because despite the fact that he was put in those situations, the reaction is what matters. The choices he made is what matters. And what choice he made at that point is saying, I'll go to prison. Okay, now he's in prison, right? And it's like, okay, it's not a fun place to be, right? We make these choices of not going to the happy hour. And every Muslim in the workplace environment knows when they're not at those happy hours, they're missing crucial conversations. They're missing an opportunity to network that they could have had. They're missing an opportunity where people look at them as, yeah, you're one of us. So when they show up to work the next morning, everybody's talking about those discussions they had last night. And they don't know what they're talking about. FOMO. They have FOMO, right? They're like, oh, hold on. Did you make that decision already about that project that we were going to talk about this morning? Oh, yeah, we talked about it last night at happy hour. So you feel sidelined, right? You feel that you're not as important, you're not needed, even though you've been working, busting your butt to try to do the best job that you can, but because of one conversation, you weren't there. So that, to us, we might not be in literal prison, while some of us are. Some of our brothers and sisters are literally, not just in prisons, they're in torture chambers right now because of value-based decisions that they made not to betray what they believe. But some of us here, we're not in real prison. We're just in a different type of prison, right?
So just to get to this part, because before Aisha comes in, and again, like sometimes when we read this story, like you have to put yourself in that situation, right? So like Yusuf's in prison after being a slave, after like this situation. What's going on? Oh, someone. I thought you were pointing at me.
He's counting, don't worry.
Oh, he's counting. Okay. Yeah, it's like, oh. And he has these prison mates who are asking for advice. They're like, hey, you have this expertise in dream interpretation. Let me get your help. Man, I don't know about you. If I was in that situation, I'd be like, get lost, dude. You know what? Like, forget you. Like, I'm like staying to myself. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to deal with other people. You know what I've been through? My brother put me in a well. You know, I was sold into slavery. I had all this. Like, I don't want to have to deal with this, right? And Yusuf alayhi salam, talk about ihsan in a moment of like trial. He's like, no, if I have this knowledge, if I have this, I'm going to use it. I don't know.
Dude, I had this person that ended up coming to our team at one point. And they told me a story where they're like, I was overlooked for a promotion multiple times. I was one of the oldest people on the team that I was in. And I'm pointing at Charles because he mentioned that, literally. That was one of the challenges that he mentioned in the work environment.
He usually points at me, Charles. So I'm usually
It's your night off.
And he's like, and time after time they hire someone younger, more technical, and I have to train them. And so, overlooked for promotion, not being seen as like, you know, even though he's the person that ends up training the new people so that they can have bigger roles than him. And so finally he came, you know, he was like, I'm here because I heard that this was a good team and I just wanted to enter it. And I was like, you should be like 2 levels higher than where you are currently. And the story you just told me, it's not because you haven't, it's because you've done so much good to help all these other people. That's why I want to hire you and I want to take you up multiple levels above where you are today. Because we have so many people on our team, all they look for is, I want the title, I want the status, I want the money, right? They're not looking and searching for people to help and support and spread their advice and their wisdom and their knowledge, right? And subhanAllah, that kind of person is the one that you want on your team. And that's what Yusuf alayhi salam decided to do.
Impact player.
Impact player, right? Okay, this is the situation I'm in. I'm not gonna betray my values and my beliefs, and I'm gonna continue to use my knowledge and wisdom and abilities to help other people.
But you know why I think he had that? And I think this is a mentality that we have to really think about, is that we think of, like, Allah tells us in the Quran, we understand this, that like we hear it at every fundraiser, that your money doesn't belong to you. But I think the intelligence and the training and the degrees, that also doesn't belong to us. Right? That also is an amana that we carry. And it's like, if we're not using that for anything other than just getting that title or that bonus or whatever, we're not actually paying zakat on it. Right? We're not actually, so it's like for Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, Allahu a'lam, this is like not in the revelation or anything. But if I'm just putting, I think his mindset was, you know what, I can't not use my knowledge to help other people.
That's why Muhsinu, he is.
I can't be in a situation where someone needs some assistance in an area that I have expertise and experience in, and I'd be like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna go watch Sunday Night Football instead.
Yeah, and the best part of that is when you are either, you know, when you're in the depth of the well or you're in the depth of a prison, nobody knows the good that nobody cares about what a prisoner is gonna say or do. Like, you are literally, like, cast aside by society, physically and in every way. So nobody, like, you know how when people only act really good when their bosses are around, or when, like, you know, their mom, or right? Like, whenever your boss is around, it's like, okay, well, hold on, I gotta, like, sit up and do everything right. The prison is really a representation of, there's nobody but Allah. Only Allah cares and is able to see you in that. And when you're doing good, because that's the point when you should just, like you said, just, I don't care, man. I'm just gonna act the way I wanna act. So that's just a reminder.
So we'll continue, inshallah, we'll talk about this whole concept of prisons, and then we'll also talk about being in a position of authority, inshallah, after Isha.
You made the turn.
And I did the podcast.
Yeah? There were like 5 or 6.
Assalamualaikum. I wanted to say hi to you, but I was like, I hope she remembers me. I saw you and I was like, oh my god. Thank you. How have you been? Good, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Working and stuff. Okay. How about you? Same thing. You graduated, right? Yes. Wait, I'm sorry. You were at Isra's graduation party, right?
No, just normal.
Yeah. She's like, perhaps.
I think we met there.
Which Isra? Oh my god, I'm gonna say her last name wrong. Start. She has a little sister.
Yes, it's wrong.
Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna say her last name wrong, and she's like one of my closest friends. I'm so bad.
I can't pronounce it.
I don't want to say it wrong. I know how to spell it. Sarwary. Sarawi, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think we met there. You just look familiar to me.
Yeah, I was there.
I'm Iram.
Tamam.
Oh, Tamam. Yeah, I remember. Oh my god. How are you?
We're cousins.
Okay, very Yeah. Wait, you're Palestinian, right? Yeah. I think I told you I married a Palestinian guy.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mashallah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Alhamdulillah. I love Palestinians.
Well, we love you because you're basically one of us.
Heart, I'm like, yes. Well, I feel like ever since I had the twins, I'm one of you guys.
Yeah, because now you have like
Yeah, now I have like real children.
Palestinian
that-
kids.
Yeah.
Makes you Palestinian. That's literally my mom. Like, she's not really Palestinian. She's not Palestinian at all.
Really?
She like speaks Palestinian Arabic. Like she makes
Yeah.
food, she whatever. I'm like, you're basically.
Oh my god, learning Palestinian Arabic was easy because like I used to know the Khaliji dialect and that was so much harder for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that? Like, Shami dialect is really easy.
Shami dialect is really easy. And I like it better. I like it better.
It's the best sounding one.
But I hate like I did not like Khaliji dialect.
No.
And now I have a ear for it, but yeah. It's anything again. Have you guys seen each other since? Or like do you guys see each other more?
I've seen her like occasionally. So, you know, at like Adams or at like, you know, like the weddings of our friends and this and that. But like,
Yeah.
after that, everyone graduated and now we're all just like,
Do you know Layla? There's like multiple, but
sorry, that's what I was
Layla's a common name. So Layla, I'm thinking about her birthday is on Saturday.
Layla. You know, like,
Dejani and
Dejani?
Yeah. She's also Palestinian.
I know the Dejani family very well. They're like Palestinian Jordanian family. Big family, mashallah.
I don't know about all that, but she's not her birthday is on Saturday. Maybe I'm saying the wrong thing. I don't know, but I just want to meet her. Do you know Layla Mustafa?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so funny enough,
She's
our
also very
families
close
are. Oh yeah, they're really close friends. Mashallah.
Yeah,
Our
they're like.
families, like my family and like the Mustafa family, are like if you go back, we're from the same village.
Oh, that's crazy.
So like I call her Puzzle. Her like distantly related.
That's
So
so
we're
cute.
from like the same clan.
I love that.
In Palestine.
I love that. Yeah. There's so many Palestinian people. You probably know. Like, you probably have so many people.
Yeah, it took us forever to realize because like once our dads met, that's when they figured it. Like, oh shoot, like Dad Mustafa, Dad Ahmed. Oh, we're related. And I was like, what?
That's crazy.
I was like,
I
oh my
love
god, I
that.
love you even more now. Like, what the heck?
That's so cute. I love that. How did you guys meet? Lenore, she's one of Lenore's best friends, and I'm one of Lenore's best friends. So we met at her goodbye party. That's so cute. I love Lenore. She's so sweet.
She's just like, why do you leave us? I know, she's so far. Like, she never comes back.
But at least she had to pursue her life, people. Like,
Yeah. I know she loves the city.
So pretty. I visited Chicago for one of my friend's bachelor parties, and I visited Menard too there. So at least you went to a city that's so pretty, you know?
I know, it is pretty, it's clean, and I was shocked. I was like, yo. I was like, wait a minute.
I'm like, actually, Chicago, in my opinion, is like the prettiest city I've visited.
They're also because like there's water, there's city, there's whatever, the suburbs, like.
I liked it too. It was nice. So whatever. To be fair, I went a while back. I went like 2021, so I don't know what it's like now.
I think it's the same.
Yeah. I feel like it's like New York City. How can New York City change all that? New York City's so good. No. I'm saying like it's like how like New York City changed year to year. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It's so nice seeing you. I was like I feel like I know her, but like I don't know.
Do you come every Thursday, or is it like just a coincidence you're here?
Well, you work at the.
I work at Ford.
Yeah. How is that?
It's good.
What do you
So
do?
I'm doing like essentially like strategy and development consulting for our nonprofit side.
I love that.
So he didn't really explain what we do. He kind of just like, I don't know, he didn't really explain. But basically,
Yeah, I don't really know what you
like, we're a startup and we do like essentially consulting, but more so like like development, Muslim startups and nonprofits. So we have like a for-profit support and a nonprofit support. So I'm on the nonprofit side, so that would be like masajid, like institutes, whatever, doing training, leadership coaching, whatever for their like imams or whatever, right?
So nice.
So like really like investing because they worked at AWS for like.
Yeah, he talked about that in one of his lectures. And this is my friend Amna.
Psycho, nice to meet you.
You too.
Yeah, Yeah, so.
He talked about that at one of his lectures, I think. Do you remember when he talked about like him being like a, he was like, I was making so much money in AWS, but it wasn't fulfilling or whatever.
This guy, right?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so now they're like,
And he like
they're
changed.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
they like watching you hitting that like phone multiple times, and I'm like, what should I knock it over?
Oh, is everyone
Well,
listening
this
to
is
the live?
Is
Is it live?
Yeah, it is.
It's okay, we weren't saying anything incriminating.
There's like no viewers though, are there? There's no one.
There's no viewers.
Damn.
My dad like crazy. We've been the brown shoes.
I'm
There's
standing
nobody
in front of the camera.
watching it. As long as you weren't saying anything
I
incriminating.
talked about my finances.
Oh god. Okay, that is incriminating.
Well, all of 0 people
viewers.
know.
Well, they don't know who I am though.
I was gonna say.
For the record, my name is Mark.
Marco Polo.
Marco.
Yeah, look, he's friend.
Oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
This is a
Yeah.
pray at home
She's
situation.
telling herself that instead of what
I got great news.
I like to go home and have it prayed already.
Yeah, you done. It's the best thing ever. They don't have to
Bye.
Oh, okay. Okay, nice.
I'm just waiting for her to come say hi, and then I'm gonna go.
Cannot miss my job.
I think it's like actually.
Hold on, I'm gonna. Or maybe it's like an undercut.
No, it's true. It's always my undertop. Okay. And I'm because I was waiting for so long. Yeah, so she he's yes, all dads are on. I'm going to say, I have worked Maria. It's supposed to be Amina, like I'm her namesake. I love her. But I also I mean, I know Arabic is it is supposed to be everything that was at the eye. That's a little bit yes, after this, I'm just like, usually I know I think of public school when I hear public school, well, you public, I don't know, I don't know. I also think of someone when I hear musical, I say like maybe because I like because I'll get so mad at it. And I can only mimic a voice which is irritating. Yeah. It's like how are you? Yeah. I think so if you wanted to have like a we are all together, everyone's contributing, kind of fine. The daisy one. The little one. What is? Let's look up some Arabic. In my wait, I feel like I grabbed it and my dad he doesn't like comfort. Be carrying that all throughout. You too. I'm so cute. How old are you? Wait, that is so cute. You totally that's so nice of you to say. Yeah, you're so sweet. You say you don't have to call me because you call me. We can oh, he's taken. Yeah, small emails. You know that is. Yeah, foster. Yeah, it's like a little like yeah. I went one time, one of my friends, and they had like this. But to be fair, like they only had one, so like it was really hard for me to find as well. So I get what you're saying. And then that was just like easy. I saw you in that. Yeah. Thank you. Wow. That's push now. I'm so happy. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's starting to feel kind of no pressure. Well, to me, that makes sense, right? She's 24 and 25. Yeah. Oh, and he's like, but the thing is, I love the Frank. What's your name? Lisa. Oh, my aunt's name is Lisa. Also, A-N-I-S-A. You know what? I said this. You're being Molly. A lot of little best friends. See, I do it with your parents. Bengali's like, okay, Bengali girls are really good. Oh my god, they have such innocent looks. They have great eyes, like hair, proportions. Their faces are beautiful. I love that. And they have like the most like pretty like textures. Yeah, they do. She has because they're like that. But I think the style is yeah. I love it. I'm like, are you acting? I have one being in this area. You have one brother. Oh, he's with you, right?
No, actually, we just dropped it earlier, so that's why I forgot. Because he has, a volleyball practice over it.
Never made way nice stuff. I like that video. Go home and think about the fact that she said that. I'm like, okay, that's true, honest compliment. That's what I'm saying. Like, if a kid compliments you, like, they really like, yeah, you know what I mean? A kid or like an old lady or like those compliments, they stick with me. Exactly, because they come nurse, like, oh yeah, the girls like, we always say like, we always like hype each other. Yeah, exactly. Like an auntie giving you a compliment, that's the best thing. But that's not really like an older auntie, like a little yeah, like a grandma auntie. Yeah, so it's really you can't be like, where's that? He's like a middle age. I just hate like 45 so I just girl like 5. Either that or like they just don't. I've noticed in aunties when they wait, I remember they have weird energy. Right. I've noticed that. That's why when I find women our age, it's like at 20 to I was like, I'll do the cutoff at 35 because I feel like everyone's in that same like. If you wanted to look at there, I feel like when I find like people with that age with that energy, I'm like, first that. Like, what's it's like my friend. I swear. Her parents. I swear. It's true. My friend. Don't you think? Her name's like Rose. She has a magazine. It was better. Was that body shape? Woman. Yeah, my friend was about body like our age bracket. So like something that make it weird, like body shape. My mom was my hair never bring you around. It was like somewhat difficult. You're gonna find a name. Okay, the way that our moms like body shape, they like basically are like, okay, listen, that's fair. Yeah, like you're saying, but like they're just like discount. They can call it. It's really like so. That's like but there's so much when you work with people, but okay, yeah, see, like, I really I have 5 friends with alone and one lives with her brother. I can't judge them, maybe just be friends. Because then you have like that common, like that like community sort of aspect. You're like you're or you could do like a common. I know it's so many people I know, and I was like, but she is right, like, that's right. I also like
You guys are doing something great. Thank you so
Yeah, we're some was just here at our own position. He's actually my friend first and foremost, but he also has some passion to help me build a job in he's still like the director of innovation Higher than our phone. They're a startup. Not PYR. Oh, there's a different one. CAIRAH. That's a little wild. Okay.
Salima, how are you? Salam alaikum. How's your dad, your mom? Don't say hello to Asma. Never, ever.
Scary, like, some other stuff is spitting out. That's totally
Inaccurate.
say probably 9.
I guess I did. Honestly, how yours taste.
I can look at it.
They're the same. No, I just want to see how yours taste. Because yours looks softer.
It's my better. It is? Good job. Go, move.
It's better.
Too bad. Yours is good. I know.
I do to end the live stream.
Usa.
Nah.
Doesn't matter. I'll give you now.
You told me to end it. You end it.
Don't touch it.
Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started, inshallah, so go ahead and take your seats. And we're gonna wrap up this discussion about Yusuf alayhi salam in prison, and then roll into a discussion, inshallah. So, Ahmad, I think when we left off, we were talking about, just like the generosity of Yusuf alayhi salam in that moment, and utilize his expertise to help someone that was like, even though he's in prison and like he had every reason to, basically like not engage, but he did anything just to close out that chapter of like, what do we learn from that in terms of like workplace?
Yeah, like I can imagine, and I've been through situations or worked with folks where, time after time, they're the ones that are, kind of helping others and supporting others through their difficult situations or, when they need help or whatever. And in that part of the story where the two folks asked, the companions in prison asked the Yusuf for, the dream, to interpret their dream. And then one of them ends up, going out, right?
And talk about that, because it's like when he goes out, he kind of like takes credit.
Yeah, exactly. So Yusuf alayhi salam is like, hey, I hooked you up. When you leave prison, like talk to your Lord about me, talk to your boss about me. And the guy ends up forgetting. And he just doesn't do anything. And then Yusuf stays in prison for decades after that. A decade after that. And so you can imagine how many times, like, if we were helping someone out and then they get promoted or they go into a new role or they end up going to another company and you're like, yo, like hook me up when you're there, like help me out. And that person, when you hit them up and send them an email or they ghost you, right? It's like, who are you? Basically. And even worse, because he ended up staying in prison. Nobody's asking about it. Like nobody cares about you, right? Like you're the lowest part of society, and there's this entire stigma around it, right? So someone was saying about being Muslim in the workplace and how hard that is, just carrying, if you're a sister, you're wearing a hijab. People right away know. Like my son's filling out, college applications. And he had started like a PC business when he was in high school. And he said one of the clients, he took pictures of a PC that he had, that my son Ibrahim, he had built his own PC, so he took pictures to show clients what he can build. And so one of the clients reached out and was like, yeah, hey, I'll buy it for $300, whatever. And he said, but you gotta remove the terrorist writing you have on it.
Wow.
And my son's a 15, and he's like, what are you referring? He's referring to the calligraphy. My son has some calligraphy on his PC. And so my son just decided not to sell it to him, right? And so a lot of times, like, we are being labeled as the worst or the lowest part of society. And so how do you deal with that, right? And that's what Sayyidina Yusuf was dealing with. Nobody cares about me, everybody's forgetting me. And so where does he go? Where does he seek refuge? And who does he rely on? That's the beautiful part about the way that you see, like, Sayyidina Yusuf is like, you thought this was low, like being in the depth of the well. Then, oh my God, slavery. Then now prison. It's like, how much lower can you go? And every single time he makes the choice, Allah.
And by the way, in one of the most favorite verses it's a different variation, but كذلك كدنا ليوسف. Like Allah's, I mean, imagine this is a story that Allah is narrating, right? So Allah, in the midst of like a very difficult, hopeless situation, Allah is intervening and saying, this is how we establish Yusuf. Like that prison, that challenge, that impossible situation, that's how we establish Yusuf in the land. Like this is all part of the plot, right? Like this is all part of the hero's journey, right, for him. He's not going to be able to get to the end of the story that we know until he goes through this, which is like amazing. So like how many of you us think of like whatever that difficult situation is, right? And only you know what your like prison is. We're gonna ask you to discuss this, so maybe other people will know now, but only you know what your own prison is. But like how many of you think about it like, man, this is how Allah is establishing me. This is how Allah is actually teaching me and giving me tarbiyah for this situation so I can be ready for it.
It's a process.
It's a process. So it's a process. And if you can like, you know, like, I don't know why I start watching Kobe memes all the time, right? Like, if Kobe like has these like quotes where he's like, you gotta love the process, you gotta fall in love with the grind, you know, like, and you're like, okay, Kobe, whatever, like, you play basketball. But it's true at some level. Like, you just gotta fall in love with the grind, right? You gotta fall in love with like the difficulty that's involved with that. It's like a mindset and a heart set that you have to go through, but not about basketball, it's about like life, you know? So this is a time where we'll do our second breakout discussion, inshallah. And our second question is, what are some of the, hopefully, inshallah, metaphorical prisons that you find yourself in, right? What are some of the prisons that you find yourself in having to deal with, or that you have dealt with? And it might be, you know, ideally this is about the workplace, but you know, sometimes these things blend together. Like your prison may be something that's happening in the home that's affecting your workplace, or it might be vice versa. But just talk a little bit amongst yourselves and try to identify like what that is and how are you dealing with it, how are you coping with it, how are you addressing it?
Yeah, as you get into the groups, just the important part about it is like Sayyidina Yusuf was not happy-go-lucky in the prison, like walking around, this is so great, I'm so glad I'm in here, right? A lot of us sometimes are asked like, hey, just enjoy like where you are today, enjoy that. That's not what's happening. He's acknowledging, this is not the place I want to be. My reputation has been destroyed. The situation I'm in is not the situation I want to be, but this is where Allah wants me right now. And so the important part of having this discussion right now, that the question he's asking is, you have to first understand and acknowledge that prison that you're in. And say, yeah, you know what? I want to be in a different role. I want to be in a better position. But this is where Allah wants me. So acknowledge it, call it out, name it, and then let's talk through that with your groups.
Bismillah. Go.
How many guys?
Don't worry very well like that, dude. I think for me, just doing routine, like just like getting up early for work, commuting there, working sometimes 10 hours, commuting back, like getting on bikes, and then like not having energy for anything, and especially that last part, not having energy for anything outside of work. I feel like that's definitely a prison for me.
And it's like, I guess like I'm working on a job I'm super passionate about right now. It's like, it is the so I feel like I felt a little trapped, and I feel like I just feel like the year has ended already, like we're really in this like next phase of my life, and it's kind of like in between periods.
I think a lot of Muslims, like, I mean, including me, like, put ourselves into is like being Muslim.
Outside of work to enjoy. Like, I want to go to work
operating in like a corporate setting are like two different pieces of who you are. And like the Muslim self is different. Like the one who goes to the masjid is very different. And the one who goes to work is very different. Almost like, what is that show called? Severance, right? But I don't know if that's like the healthiest way to live your life. It's like cutting yourself off from both identities. I was talking to the guys earlier about like one of the ways to like practice ihsan is to be like unapologetically Muslim in the workplace, and you'll be so surprised about how accommodating people can be. So I think that's something that I'm trying to do more of, is like not leaving my Muslim identity at like 9 a.m. and like going back to it at like 5 p.m. But like throughout the day, like still being who I am, but also operating and doing my job, right?
Yeah, so you're basically compartmentalizing your different quote-unquote identities, and then those end up being big prisons because you feel like you can't really express yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I'll have a time block for Jummah, and I'll be like, I'll like put like a emoji in my Slack to be like prayer, and it'll be like the prayer bead.
Yeah.
So like I'm just trying to make more like efforts to be like, it's okay if I'm Muslim.
Yeah.
Well, as somebody who's been a contractor, a gig worker, as it were, and has worked in a lot of environments and a lot of different kind of environments, basically since the early 1980s when I started doing technical writing and proposal development. I've seen a lot of places. You don't always know, walking in there for the interview, walking in there to sign the papers and be onboarded and to start work. You don't always know what you need to know about the integrity and the ethics of that organization or individuals.
I actually had it out, Ben.
People like mine.
Shall see you next week. You're doing this next week too.
Donnie Morgano's gonna do it, so probably really.
Alright, well, we'll catch up. So, it was great chatting.
Spread out your whole inner life, your whole inner to people who is really not relevant. And I would say, learn what the internal dynamics of a place is, and learn who your friends are, and learn who your friends are not. Because you'll subjectively to be having people like this make a difference in your life. And that is something I have found that everybody is in. Particularly folks who are visibly different from me. Brutal thing to say,
yeah, I mean, adding on to it, I think a lot of people, a lot of Muslims especially, the question earlier, like Imam Tom, I think it was like a year ago, he had a panel with Dr. Johnson Brown. He was like very upset at Muslims for engaging in like beyond diplomacy. Where he was saying like Muslims have essentially like sold themselves in the hopes of like hating either the right or the left, that like have no identity of your own selves. But he's like essentially moving forward, like continuing to like be a more offensive, right? So I think like even the exams, like the university, so I think it's like, if you're like going from a place because you're Muslim, it's probably not a place you want to work with, right? Like, you know, like don't sell your soul to a place just because it's giving you permission. Like still be who you are authentically, and just have the trust that God will give you something better if this place is taken away from you.
Yeah. I think what the guy said was perfect, and create your own prison by like trying to become more similar, but also face an external peer pressure to like be a certain way, and so it's like you're just attacked on both sides for that, and basically being a prisoner of both your inward and your outward pressures.
Yeah, but like, I mean, literally, it feels like
You know, it's
spending a lot of time. Yeah.
How about the politicians?
That's good, because some of them I work with are Muslims, or Muslim. I work with her, I'm
Oh, she's really, yeah.
She was running for state senator, so she was my first client to work with. So it was very eye-opening to see like she's finally expanding, growing, putting her foot down on the ground.
The point is that if anything, I feel like now is a time not only is like the idea of being so much more complex, but we're seeing how people use themselves out they don't need to it's not working out. Like the first one that comes to mind, I don't think is Cassie Tucker. Right? Like no matter how much she tries to appeal to the Republican Party or be like one of the good ones or be like good American things, they still see him to the day where so you're not going to be truly ever accepted. So instead of trying to be a good one of them, be a good person for you yourself. People see that someone's being good more quickly than they see that you're trying to exactly. We were all talking about like Zoran Hamdani is like so authentically himself. That is why that's why he's like leading the polls. That's why he won the primary. He's not like Cuomo, who's just like, or Andrews, who are like sucking up to like whoever.
Always like crazy that really like makes you look low. You know what I'm saying? Like
Will appeal to the people who are capable of responding. Those are the people who will appeal to you as a candidate. And if you're in a company, you need to be able sometimes it's say this is not a healthy environment, and the people who want to be healthy in here are not free to do so, because they could be find themselves in these situations, often be themselves stifled.
I mean, what you just said, right, about like stifling and being authentic, like, I think it just like reverberates back to the story of the Pakistan himself. Like he was a man who was so honest to who he was that eventually like it was either him who had to change or society had to change around him. And the opposite happened, right? Like he stayed so true to himself that he was able to change society in mass. And I think that's the strategy we have to adapt. It's not like become like society, but have society change because of us. Who we are. And like to this point, like this is the perfect time. Like people are looking up to like.
I wanted to be more
I mean, that's like, if you study like the founding fathers, they were like, I mean, the British Empire called them like terrorists, who they were, right? Like they were open fingers who like revolted against the church, revolted against everything that they stood for, like everything that the empire stood for. So like, yeah, to your point, right? It's very like American.
Well, I have a hadith. Somebody considers it I know it in Arabic, so بدأ الإسلام غريبا started as a thing. So they will go back again so that unfortunately really like it's a trend because they're consistent stay the course.
All of us amongst
All right, inshallah, let's come back.
Are you sure?
I heard the deafening silence over here. The sisters they're like, this is really like depressing, we're in prison. It's like, you can't keep going up there. All right, so let me hear it. What were some of the, again, hopefully metaphorical prisons that you guys are talking about? Yeah.
One of the ones that we were talking about was almost like split identity in some ways, right? Where it's like you're Muslim at home and like you turn it off like severance when you go into work at like 9 a.m. and you turn it back on at like 5 p.m.
Great show.
Yeah. And that's not like a metaphorical prison because it's like you feel like you can't be yourself, like your authentic self, in a place that takes up like 40 hours of your work week. But a lot of us were like talking about how when you're unapologetically Muslim, like you'll see just how many people are truly like accommodating, and how actually now is the best time to do it because you're seeing that authenticity is something that is being paid off. Like people like Zoran who are so authentically themselves, like he's winning the primary, right? Like whereas people who, you know, people like.
But the guy eats with his hands, man. I don't know.
Exactly, he's such a challenge. But yeah, no, I mean, it's that idea of like, hey, yeah, I can't take this meeting because I have to go to Jummah. Right? Or yeah, I eat halal, sorry. You know? And the idea of if a space is not willing to accommodate who you are, there's 1,001 spaces to find. And there's a lot in comparison to the story of the Prophet who he was such an individual and an individual of honor and integrity that two things were going to happen. Either he changed or society changed. And because of his authenticity and who he was, the opposite happened, right? Imam Tom, like last year, there was a talk that he did with Dr. Brown. And he said like, he was really mad at the Muslims for engaging in like biryani diplomacy. Where he was like, you guys have like sold yourself at the hopes that like either the right or the left will placate you. They're like, it hasn't worked. Like you've sold your values. So like now is the time to be on the offensive and be yourself.
You know, I think I always like to say like multiple things can be true, right? So like Islamophobia is a real thing, right? Discrimination against Muslims overtly or implicitly, it's a real thing. And what you're saying like makes me wonder how much of our prisons are like self-imposed prisons, right? They're prisons of the mind, where we're so worried about what other people are gonna think or what other people are gonna say or what the result is gonna be, that we self-censor before we ever even like come to the table. So yeah, it is like that. Like we literally have to like, it feels like we have to shut down that part of our brain when we're walking into that floor, this floor, or that workplace, or that Zoom call, or that Chime call, like whatever it is, right? And so I wonder like how many of our prisons are like self-imposed. And you're right, like I think that if we were to lean into it, it's like, no, we actually have a superpower. Like we actually have something that other people don't have. I mean, I know I give Ahmad a hard time, but honestly, like I look up to him because he's up there in front of like 300 plus people in a company like Amazon, and he's like basically giving a Jum'ah khutbah without saying Qala Allah, Qala Rasulullah, right? He's like, guys, if we're gonna grow, we need to be mirrors for one another. And I'm like, that's a hadith. And then he's like, and by the way, because we're in a sales organization, he's like, I don't want you to be like, oh, I met my quota, so I'm not gonna help the other person. No. We have to be like a house where each brick is reinforcing the other brick. And it's like, I'm looking around and everyone's like writing down, wow, this is good. And I was like, Omar's like a leadership savant. I was like, no, he's not. He's cheating. He's giving a football out here, right? And what was amazing about that is like, actually it was even more authentic that he didn't have to say like, Qala Allah, Qala Rasul, in that type of a setting, right? And he just was like, no, this is our value system. Like, this is what we should believe. This is what we should espouse. This is what you should be doing. You know? And like,
I was gonna say Jay Shetty, like the super motivational guy. He like quoted Imam Shafi on like Instagram and it went viral. Like, bro, this is something we all know. What the heck?
I'm like, wow, Imam Shafi. All right, what else? What are some of the, that's a really good one, right? A prison of the mind, sometimes.
Just a quick comment about authenticity. I think it's important for everything we do is an expression of our is authentic in that it is part of our authenticity. But if somebody feels authentic about, say they're 35 years old and they're trying to become a manager and get into real responsibility, and their secret hobby is collecting comic books from the 1950s starring Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse, if he or she, okay, feels the need to express this and share this as an expression of his authenticity, that might not be a productive thing. You have to be discreet, and at the same time to be honest. And God willing, you will be in places where you can be discreet and can be honest at the same time. If you're not in such a place, get a little humble. Don't kid yourself that you alone are going to be able to create that kind of a space, that there's spaces out there that are like that, and it's time, I believe, and I've seen this myself, to cut your losses and start, circulating a resume. There are times when you have to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's also another, I appreciate you bringing that, that's another reason why forums like these are so important, right? Because sometimes, we don't avail ourselves of the network that we have, within a room like this, that we can help and support each other.
Well put, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. What about on the sister side? Yeah.
I work in a really small, physical environment. I work in a bakery, so there's no break room, there's no nothing. I'm always around my coworkers, and it's not a lot of people at a time, and they love to gossip. And I'm stuck in a physical place with my coworkers, and they're like, "So what do you think about this?" And I'm like, "I'm neutral.
Yeah.
I have no thoughts."
Yeah. That's tough. Yeah, that's tough. How do you deal with it? I'm sure you come up with some
Yeah, I built a reputation around not gossiping, around being very sweet, very neutral at work. People, and my thought is no one will gossip to me if they know that I'm nice, and no one will gossip about me if I'm nice.
Yeah. So you are making da'wah.
Exactly. I try to.
Making da'wah, subhanallah. Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, I'm always thinking whenever in a corporate place when someone's talking out of school to me about somebody else, my first thought is man, what are they saying about me behind my back?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. I was if you're saying this about this other person who you're smiling, what are you saying about me? And I think that's the other thing. I think for some people, this goes back to the authenticity piece. I think some people are honest to God. I think people are looking. It's refreshing for people. They're man, wow, this is really cool that we can hang out and do something without alcohol involved. That we can be in an environment that we're having fun and no gossip is involved. That we get guys, this isn't Allah, our manufacturer, gave us these instructions because He knows that this is better for us, right? So why are we so ashamed to follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has built for us to actually do? So sometimes it goes back to sometimes with self-imposed prisons, being that one person that doesn't gossip. I'm sure people are man, I'd rather hang out with, what's your name, sister? Sorry.
Bayan.
Bayan, oh. That's embarrassing.
They are looking like that's why.
That's embarrassing. Yeah, so I was
Your sisters?
Your sisters.
I can see you But they're oh man, I want to hang out with Bayan. That's I'd rather hang out with her than somebody else that might be in her family that's sitting down. Because because she's exemplifying she's just and sometimes people can't even articulate it. They don't even know that it's part of a value system. They just know that man, this is refreshing for me to be around someone like that.
Yeah, same conversation.
Yeah, same conversation in the room. That was one of the things we used to say, right? Is we used to have these workplace norms. We'd be no, we want to have the same conversation in the room and out of the room. So if someone's not in the room, we shouldn't talk about them in a way. So that was a simple way of basically being don't backbite. You you didn't have to be do you want to eat the flesh of your brother? Whoa, relax. It's no, it's the same conversation in the room, out of the room. All right, any other prisons? Who has got a tough one? Yeah.
Okay, we actually looked at it in a different
perspective.
Yeah, good.
I think that it wasn't a prison. I don't think the word prison was the right word to use. I think it's more of a process to get him where he needed to be by the end of the story of the whole entire flow of Surat Yusuf.
Yeah.
If you look at it, every single situation that he was in was taught him a lesson in which enabled him to become that governor at the end.
Amazing.
So I think to me, or the way I look also at my life too, I feel like every single situation or every single position I had taught me something to be where I am today.
Amazing.
So I think that it's a process, not a prison in which you kind of close your eyes and ears and just be focused on how to get out. It's more of how to build up and grow.
MashaAllah. I have nothing to add to that, but Bismillah, MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. She said that like maybe the way we're even framing the question is not the right way of framing it. It's not really a prison, but it's a process for, in this case, Yusuf alayhi salam to get to an ultimate destination. Right? So what are the different stages in the process that we have to go through to get to our ultimate destination? It's a process, it's a journey, as I was saying. So amazing. But so this is the other thing is in the workplace, how many people actually like manage and oversee people in their workplace? Right? That's a whole different ballgame. Yeah. Isn't it? Like the first time I started, like I was like, man, when I become a manager, I'm gonna show these people, and this is gonna be amazing. I'll get all these other people to do my work for me, right? And then when you become a manager, you're like, what up, good shareholders? Like, send me back. Like, I don't want to oversee people. Like, there's so much of a like it's a burden. It's an amana. It's so many different things. So we actually get even that lesson, right, Omar, from Yusuf. Like now when he's out of prison and he's gone through and he's like, no, I want you to reinstate my honor, right? And he's in this position of authority. How does he carry himself there? What can we learn about from that perspective?
Yeah, so as we know, sometimes in the workplace, you find yourself in the beginning of your career, you're working for others, and then over time you learn, you develop skills, and then you're kind of like, you know, a job opens up, and you say, I can do that job. Or someone might come and ask, hey, what would you do in this? Oh, can you find us somebody that can fill this position or this role? And you think to yourself, like, hold up, I've got the skills and the knowledge and the ability to kind of fill that role. And so Yusuf alayhi salam, in that situation before, right, when the person comes and says, hey, you know, the king needs somebody to, you know, interpret the dream. And he says, before I do that, right, first, let's be clear about what happened, right? Because my reputation is the only thing I really own, right? You can enslave my body, but you couldn't take my dignity and integrity. And so I want that to be the first thing that gets rectified, right? And so he goes and says, go talk to those women who cut their hands, right? So then, once they go and do that, and it's clear that, okay, Yusuf was not the one who initiated this and should never have been in prison, right? He says, okay, now let me interpret that dream for you. And then when he gets that opportunity, he asks for the role and says, look, I've got the knowledge and the trustworthiness and honesty, right? So put me, yeah.
Which that itself is a lesson, right? Because I think one of the things I feel like within our community is we have this really uneasy relationship with like authority and power and even wealth and that kind of thing, right? Where on one hand, there are definitely those people who like want it in a bad way, right? Like so they let themselves be blinded by that. But at the same time, there are people within our community who are, you know, experts in their respective fields, and they're like, yeah, but I'm not gonna do that because, you know, I wanna be humble and I don't wanna. No, Yusuf alayhi salam was like, no, listen, people, like, this is an economic policy that can result in life or death for a lot of people. And I'm in a situation where I have the capabilities of being able to serve, it's my responsibility to serve. Someone used this analogy, if we're, let's say we're like on a boat and we needed to, get to safety. And I'm actually trained in operating, I'm not, but let's just pretend I was. Maybe a better analogy is a plane. Let's say like we're all on a plane and something happens with the pilot and we have to land. And I'm a trained pilot, right? And it's like, hey, is anyone gonna be able to help here? And like, I'm like, I should give Omar a chance, honestly. Like, I gotta be humble about this right now. Like, Omar, you really should try to land this plane. Omar, have you ever landed a plane before?
I'm a doctor, man.
Yeah, no, but I don't wanna, like, I don't want anyone to have jealousy.
Do it.
No, I don't want people to be jealous of me,
Wow, meanwhile.
Yeah, right? And I'm like, no, dude, you need to fly the plane. Like, you have to do it. So like, how many positions are there in society where we're sitting there very comfortable letting other people be at the helm of the controls? When it's like, they're gonna ruin this. Like, you have to actually put yourself in a position. You have to be that physician. You have to be that, person who's the chief of staff. You have to be whatever role that you're in. Because if you're not gonna do it, someone else who's not qualified or maybe is not aligned with the value system is gonna do it. And so what's gonna happen then?
Dude, I had this happen yesterday. I was talking to someone who, mashallah, no, it wasn't you, who, mashallah, is really good at public speaking, right? But that's not what he's doing today, okay? So part of the discussion is like, hey, how do we kind of align what you do with the strengths and the gifts that Allah gave you? And as we're having this discussion, it's like, no, Allah will put me in that position. Yeah, but you've gotta do something about it. Like, you've gotta go after it, right? Like, you can't just, so Yusuf, I said, I didn't just sit there and I'm gonna stay in prison until Allah wants me to get out. No, he went and told him, hey, go investigate, go do this. And he held the leverage on him, which was the dream interpretation. And he said, I'm not gonna give you this until you do that, right? To put me in that position. And then he asked for the position itself and he described it based on the role credentials that were required, the qualifications that were required. That honesty, integrity, and the knowledge, right, that he had. So when I was talking to this person, he's like, no, I want to be humble and I want to wait until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks me or puts me in that position to be able to do that. And that's exactly what you're saying. Like, no, doing it the right way or pursuing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you, the opportunities He gave you, is part of the action that you have to take. You can't just wait for it to happen to you, and that's what we learned.
Yeah, I mean, there's something your father said that's like etched in memory for me from like 15 years ago. There's a lot that's etched in memory. MashaAllah, Imam and one of the things he said was like, he said, it was in the context of like, when people ask like one of us to do Jumu'ah Khutbah or something, I'm like, no, I don't want to do it, I don't want to, I'm not. He's like, listen, if you do something and do it for the wrong intention, you're committing shirk, right? So like, obviously that's bad. If you avoid doing something because you're worried about doing it for another intention, that's a riyah. So you basically have no other option but to do the right thing and to perfect your niyyah while you're doing it. I was like, oh man, like that's heavy, right? Like that's heavy. Like you can't just drop the responsibility because you're like, oh, this is gonna be hard and I might lose, No, that's absolving yourself of the responsibility. You have to actually pick up the mantle and do what you're meant to do in this world, what Allah puts you in this world to do, and you have to struggle through trying to maintain all the difficulties while doing it.
Which is like, back to Sayyidina Yusuf, when he was described as the do-gooder, right? The part of the muhsineen, the excellent, right? When you're not using the skills Allah gave you and the gifts, then you're withholding good. So the ihsan that you should be putting out there, the good that you should be doing with what He gave you, you're actually now doing the opposite, you're withholding it.
Yeah.
So we talked about how in the prison, he was still doing good.
Yeah.
If he didn't seek that position to go do more good, then he's actually doing the opposite and withholding it.
So last piece before we do our last discussion and break, inshallah, is I just wanted to close out with the reuniting of Yusuf alayhi salam with his brothers, right? And I know it's weird because it's like a family dynamic, but really if you think about it, abstract it up to say these were people that treated him poorly, and now he's in a position of authority over them, and so how did he treat them, right? And let's be real, there are times where you're like, when you're in a position of authority, especially when someone's wronged you, right, or someone's done something against you, I mean, it's pretty tempting. Don't you think so? You said it would be pretty tempting to be like, you know what, I'm gonna get my, like, this person had it coming. They're gonna get their comeuppance, you know? Even in subtle ways. You know where I see this honestly? I see this with, since my wife's a physician, I see this with doctors. Like, you know what I had to go through during residency? Now that I'm a doctor, I'm gonna make those residents like miserable, you know? It's like a reverse virtuous cycle. It's like I'm just gonna, and you don't do that. Other people do that.
Veteran players and rookies.
Yeah, hazing, right? The hazing that goes on. I mean, even in workplaces, there's like, oh, we'll make the new guy, you know, go get. We don't do that, right?
Right?
All right, take the mic up.
Yeah, no, it's so now you're in that position, right? Now you're in that position. So all these feelings we got, the passive aggression, the lack of accommodations, the misrepresentation of your beliefs and all that. These people that did all this stuff to you, now you're their boss. You're their manager. You have power over them. What do you do? And yeah, one path is to say, okay, now I can, make that performance review a little harder on this person because, I remember what they did to me. But Yusuf alayhi salam doesn't do that. He actually takes the other path, which is forgiveness and mercy. And he doesn't even just show the forgiveness. He actually provides them with the opportunity. He says, there's no blame on you, to his brothers. No blame on you. And that allows them to kind of move past their own sins because they know what they did. And so I was thinking, like, from a work environment, I remember being in this situation where you now hold the budget, right? As a manager, as a boss, as a leader, you have, and you can really make any decision to distribute budget to certain people, departments, certain leaders, the way that you want. And you can justify it in any way because nobody else really knows how you should distribute it. And so in that moment, the only one that knows whether you are using someone's actions against them or whether you're just going to do whatever you are put in a position to do in terms of what you believe is right, only Allah knows. So when we look back at Sayyidina Yusuf's life, like the sister said, that process that he had to go through, the journey, the journey in the beginning, he's a young person that Allah gave him beauty. And it's like, yeah, my beauty will be the thing. And then gave him a father that was very wise. Like, my father is going to be the one that's going to get me through the difficult time. And then it's like, I have a strong family, a big family. My brothers will always be there for me. It's like, and then when he's, taken as a slave in the house of the governor, it's like, oh, my boss is going to be, he's going to be good for me. But then that's the thing that gets him in prison. And then later it's like, okay, I'm in prison, but I got these guys with me. They're going to be the ones that get me out of this situation, right? But no, that's not what happens. And then he's got the status and the power. But what does he choose? He chooses the one that was there for him throughout those situations.
There's a verse in the Quran. من كان يريد العزة فلله العزة جميعا. whoever wants izzah, right? Like, whoever, I mean, sorry, a hard word to translate. How would you translate izzah? Honor, dignity, power sometimes, like that. To Allah belongs all of it. Like, He's the one who's in charge, like, who's literally the owner of all of it. So why are you looking for other means? Why are you looking for that promotion to that title? Why are you looking for that, you know, funding, seed funding? Why are you looking for that to validate you, right? Your validation comes from you being a slave of Allah, period. Because He's gonna be the only constant. All these other things are variable. They'll come and go.
Yeah, and subhanAllah, how Allah took him out of that prison and put him, right, in the top, the most powerful position in the land. And then that process he went through was the preparation to make those decisions when he could have made any decision he wanted. He could have sought any revenge he wanted. He could have taken, you know, all those people that had betrayed him over time, that had, you know, caused certain situations to happen. He could have gotten his revenge. And nobody would have batted an eye. But because of that training that Allah put him through, and because of who he was, and he chose Allah, he made the choice that reunited his family, that brought his father and mother and siblings together. And ultimately, who are we? Our base of life is our family. So everything that we go through at the end of the day comes back to our family. And Allah puts us in these situations and tests us and pressurizes us. Say, who is going to be there for you? Who will you rely on? Who will you call upon? Who will you seek help from? Who will be with you at the depth of the lowest part of where you find yourself? Whatever that situation is, at work, at school, with your family, who is the one that's going to be there for you? It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And until and when we decide that that is who I'm calling upon, always and every single time, our test, we haven't passed it yet. And we ask Allah not to take us back to Him until we choose Allah every single time.
So that is a good tee up for our last discussion question. And I want to frame this as like everything we've been talking about up until now, to use a sports analogy, is like playing defense. How do we preserve our Islam? How do we, maintain, which is important. But now let's go from defense to offense. Offense meaning, how do we actually become role models? How do we actually be like Bayan and say, you know what, I'm going to be that refreshing person that, we're not, that's not going to be the person that's, gossiping, right? So what are ways that we can actually live our values at the workplace and actually show a better alternative, be role models within our workplace?
Transform from dysfunction to good.
Right. Remove harm and replace it with good. So let's have that discussion, inshallah, and then we'll close out.
Jihad.
It is a
You meant jihad in nafs. You said jihad, you meant jihad in nafs, like struggle from your inside to resist the shaitani action. Because when you say jihad, be careful. Jihad is the concept of something very bad. So what is in Islam, the true Islam, the jihad in nafs, it's not like you just go and kill or just to clarify, because we are in the environment now. So when you use this word, yeah, I know, but still, you have to be careful when you say jihad.
Living life, honesty, integrity, engagement with other people, and you're in a company or with whatever group of people you're with, say there's a crisis, there's a difficulty, there's a visible challenge to the well-being of the mission of the other people, whatever it is. And if you manifest your deen, as it were, during times of difficulty, crisis, and struggle, when other people might cave in or run away or whatever it is, then you are living as an example. And you don't have to do it intentionally, because it's going to be your harmony, your following the will of the Creator in your life and seeking it. Mistakes happen for sure. And you just now
Yes.
what did I do? Then you've already taken a mistake and you need to step back.
It's my fault. I should have actually it's my mom's fault for it was right when they had it's not a good order. I don't feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. Did you hire really good?
So doing that and applying it to you, bring up the weight.
Not just like being like, I'll never forget this. This is at my current job. I always said, oh, can I go to my car?
Specific
And I was like, since again, I work in a bakery, I can't walk right there. You know, because like I'm in everyone's life, I'd be like, you could easily absorb. And I'll never forget, the manager looked at me.
Not only the most liked and like followed, and
I went,
literally performance-wise, the best managers are the ones who listen to you. Like how to be the most successful manager, for example, in the workplace that you can be, you listen to everybody's complaints. But the other guy, even before you, didn't listen. You know what I mean? And then everybody likes you now.
And now ever since then, I say specifically,
It works the same way in sports teams. It works the same way.
So like even like about like coworkers, I don't care. Like
Even it's kind of related to what you were talking about. This is not what you said, but you were like, oh, to be a leader, you have to follow the person. It's kind of related to that.
Yeah. Also like as if my other children are smoking weed. If I want to, there's next door.
I like little coworkers.
Easy access. Easy access. I don't know. Going in your car yet? She was like, no, we're fine.
I think it's the best. I think it's.
Yeah.
I think to me, I don't think coworker and human is somehow mutually exclusive. I mean, what it means to be a good human means to be a good coworker. I think what a lot of people forget is somehow that non-Muslims are like, they're not on the fitrah. Like Allah says, everybody is created upon the fitrah. It is society that shapes them. So the same things that appeal to me and you, us being Muslim, appeal to them too. Right? So I think if you're able to tap into your fitrah, whether it's through empathy, compassion, whether it's, I mean, like the things that Allah says, right? To like turn a society from non-Muslim, like pagan to like Muslim, is the same thing that we should do, right? Like Sheikh Ayol's book, like going back to hearing, right? He has a whole book on like having wage law. He has a whole book on when hearing becomes listening and the power of like being a true listener and whatnot.
What he brought
Even if you wanted to go really far, sometimes people allocate decisions to other people. If I'm like running a team and I know this person knows something better than I do, I will literally donate my decision power to this person. You know what I mean? I'm saying I don't know. But point is.
All right. What do we got? What do we got? How do we role model for the workplace. What are different ways that we have to be able to do that? Who wants to share? I know I heard something good over here, so I have at least a back pocket call out. Go ahead.
So we talked a little bit about a lot of good leadership is just listening to, you know, what your subordinates now supposedly are saying. People have complaints, people have wants for their workplace, people have things that they have advocated for but are never able to get done. Now you're in this position of leadership. I can give this to you.
Yeah.
And then in return, you almost have like this person's like loyalty. That sounds like a super villain term, but like, no. It's loyalty matters the most when you're like trying to run some environment, you're trying to run some workplace or something like that. And so we talked about that a lot, and we even talked about a little bit, oh, you can, you know, let people sort of help you make the decisions, you know what I mean? And then another thing we talked about was leading by example is the best way to lead. And even in a manner of speaking, this is not actually right, but in a manner of speaking, like, we all follow the example of the Prophet Jesus. That's leading by example in very big air quotes.
Yeah.
So, you know? Yeah.
You remind me of something, one of our friends and partners, Brother Ashif al-Haq, he has a great Instagram account, by the way, so you should follow it, but he says like, this corporate version of networking, where you're like, go to a mixer and like you're exchanging business cards, he goes, that's just, forget the Islamic, like that's just, it's not how it works. It's just not how it works. Like, and this is someone who's successful, who sold businesses, is in the PE world. He's like, look, it's all about just genuinely, kind of what you're saying, Brother Omar, right? Like exactly what he's saying. It's just, you just serve other people. And like you do something genuinely to help them, and then when it's your turn, they're gonna have your back. Like that's like quote unquote networking. It's not networking, it's not some superficial transactional thing. It's that, right? That you're just in the service of people. And so, yeah, I think that's really powerful for us to think about. By the way, just shameless plug, Ashif, along with our brother, literal and metaphorical, Sheikh Mikael Smith, have this new program, Rahman, this new program, Mi'raj Collective. So if you're looking, especially for the guys here, if you're looking for coaching programs for young professionals or executives, or people in Islamic work, they have awesome cohort-based programs that they're actually accepting applications for now. So definitely check that out, inshallah. Sister in the back, yeah?
So there was a sister earlier who talked about how the Quran just commands us to just speak truth to power, and it's not our job to guarantee if other people are open to it. But I think there's a reciprocal role that we oftentimes neglect because we don't see ourselves as in that role, which is to be open to receiving knowledge. And something that I think about a lot is how the Quran starts with Iqra, and like the command to read or to seek knowledge. And I think the act of doing that in itself is a way to ensure that like you should never feel like so secure in your actions and beliefs that you stop yourself from growing.
Yeah.
And to keep seeking knowledge, whether that's through reading or reflecting or through hearing other people's feedback, like no matter who they are, that doesn't mean you listen to whatever they say and just take it in, but you have to at least consider it, because you never know where your opportunities to grow will come from.
Yeah.
So I think that idea of like seeking knowledge and taking in that feedback to constantly humble yourself is very important. I mean, some of the famous ashab like were like they didn't all start off as believers, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that you can't one day become one.
That's right.
So if you're blocking yourself off just because you think, okay, I'm Muslim, I'm safe, then you never know if that will be what hardens your heart.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, just modeling intellectual and just general humility, right? Like it's amazing how, if that was a quality that we could see widespread within our workplaces, do you think it would be better workplaces?
Yeah.
Yeah? right? If people just had that dose of like humility of like, hey, I may, as Imam Shafi'i would say, like, I may have the right answer, but I may be wrong. And I think you're wrong, but you might have the right answer. Like, if we just modeled that, like how much better would our workplaces be? So I think it's a beautiful example. Maybe one more. Do you have one? Someone was raising their hand over here. No? Yeah?
I think what makes a good role model is having genuine positivity. Sometimes, I mean, like, work sucks to say life, it's hard to be happy. But, I mean, you should try to still be positive. You don't have to be negative all the time. Because people can sense your energy, and it really does spread around. So, like, even if you smile, that's soon that. And then, like, in terms of that, having more compassion for others. And then perhaps, letting support people, right? Things like this. I mean, it's a rat race out in the world here, but I mean, we're Muslims at the end of the day, and we're not meant to be like private individuals with kind of a mindset, right? We're a collective force. So trying to support yourself, but also if you witness like maybe someone struggling, offering them support, whether it's physical or mental, like it's necessary.
Yeah, I love that. And just to add to what you're saying, it's not just showing positivity, but I was smiling because Sheikh Mikhail was giving this talk. I think we were there at Roots, and he was like, the Prophet ﷺ knew the pets of the companions. Like he knew, like he's like, Ya Umayr, ma fa'ala an-Nughair. Like he knew the pets of like the kids of the other like community members, right? And so like Sheikh Mikhail would be like, how many of you guys know Betty's dog's name? We're like, who's Betty? What are you talking about? Apparently he gets all of his like coworker names from high school. He worked at high school. So he went to high school long. I don't know any Betty's. He's like, yeah, how many of you know Betty's like, so to your point about spreading positivity, just showing like genuine interest, like these are other people after all, right? We're not like automatons that are just like here to, but like we're not the severance floor. You know what I mean? Like we shouldn't be. So like actually
they're people.
Yeah, but it's weird because they don't remember like their real life, so it's a whole thing.
Okay.
It's very different. Can of worms, yeah. But like just showing genuine interest in other people, right? And like celebrating their. Father Ahmad was like continues to be amazing at this, and it's not like a trick. Like he genuinely cares about other people. He's like, oh, your son was sick. Like how's he doing now? You know, like he has a son. I didn't even know. He's like, yeah. This is his family tree. Like I have wrote out my phone. Awesome. Okay, my take home message, because we're at the end, is that how many people feel like we got a lot out of just this one story about something that relates to the workplace, our modern context? Isn't that rich? Right? Like 2 hours-ish worth of content. And I'm telling you, we need to scratch the surface. This Quran, when you really open yourself up to it, when you tell it, these are the issues that I'm facing, when you be vulnerable with it, when you approach it with intellectual humility, and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And so when I read this story, I don't just read it as a historical story, but I say, what can I learn from Yusuf in this situation? One of the things his mom, asks is like, you need to take Nuh as a companion or Musa as a companion. Like, what do you mean by that? It's like, no, you need to like immerse yourself in the story and really reflect on what it means for you. So if the main take-home message is, this shouldn't be like a 2-hour like vacation into the Quran, and then you leave. It's like, no, this is home. This is like where we should be spending our time. Like we should be spending it with the Quran and asking ourselves these questions. Man, like, what does the Quran want me to know about this situation and how I'm dealing with it? And if we do that, and we're sincere about that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open the answers to us. The second thing is what Brother Charles said, and I think it's super important. This shouldn't be, this is not a one and done conversation, right? Like tomorrow many of us are gonna have to go back to work.
right? Portimao has to deal with her, toxic workplace and.
Awesome. Especially in Ramadan.
Yeah, right? So you have to go back to work, right? And so you need to actually be able to have these ongoing conversations, whether it's spaces like this and coming, that's why I love what Omar Farouk is doing with the grounding and like his team, because these are like spaces where we can actually come and just bring that. But my challenge to you, if you choose to accept it, is exchange the number of one other person that you don't already know. You guys can do it, that doesn't count. I don't. No, I saw it. You're like this little side eye. Exchange the number of someone who you don't, like you newly connected with, and actually like reach out to them, right? Through a text or God forbid a phone call. My gosh. Like you're not allergic to making a phone call, right? Like reach out to them and be like, hey, I remember we had that grounding, you were talking about that thing that you were dealing with at your, new job. Like, how's that going? Just wanted to check in, right? Like, we gotta be there for each other, because as I said, it is a lion's den. That's what this series is about. So like, we're all we got, right? So, challenge you to do that, inshallah. And I challenge Omar Farouk to come up and close us out.
While he's coming up, I was in the airport this morning. I flew all the way here just for this event.
He has a podcast episode he filmed all day.
So this guy that was in the area, he had a shirt on, and the back of the shirt said, actually let me read it real quick, because our citizenship lies in heaven. Some random guy, our citizenship lies in heaven. And so, as we're talking about workplace, our final promotion, inshallah, will be to heaven. That's how, inshallah, and this conversation.
Well,
thank you.
He has a question. Last question.
Yeah.
I think it's for you.
Brother Omar, you were just noticed and praised for your having gotten a team together that made this thing possible. I think we should all give this man a real hand.
That's very kind. I appreciate it. I'm only as good as my marketers and all the people who help set everything up and execute this. So please give them a round of applause. They are very good. And thank you, Brother Awais Sheikh and Omar Al-Talib. I thought it was a great program. I think it was very relevant and touched a lot of people in their everyday lives. And hopefully they'll be thinking about it for not just, today, but for the next few days, every single time they're stuck in the workplace. I have to talk about some so I'm here to briefly talk about our future events. Next week, we're going to be joined by Dalia Mugahid. She's going to be closing us out with by talking about systematic oppression. So make sure you come for that. I think it's a very cool topic, and it's also like the broadest and some might say the most like ambiguous thing that we're going to be talking about. So definitely come to that. Tomorrow we have a final session in the building blocks of marriage. This one's going to be on combating narcissism. We will be doing that outside of the pavilion, unless it's too cold, in which case we will move inside the cafe. So come anyway, it'll be comfortable. We have our Cars, Cuts, and Coffee event. That's our car meet, our haircut event, and also we have a bunch of vendors coming in. That's going to be on Saturday from 3 to 7. It'll be a pretty big event, so make sure you come by for that.
Say that again 3 times really fast.
Cars, Cuts, and Coffee. Cars, Cuts, and Coffee. Cars, Cuts, and Coffee.
Okay.
I call it like the triple C. We have a tote bag painting workshop this Sunday. That is going to be, that's sisters only from 3 to 4:30.
Darn.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, I have my bag and everything. So, we started video game nights every Tuesday night. The first one is going to be this Tuesday. They're playing Super Smash Brothers, so you can come by from 5:30 to 7:30.
You got a ringer in the house.
Oh, really? The mom? Yeah, she beat Muscle Parade. I heard that was pretty
No. Dude, I'm going to be me a lot, dude. So like, yeah.
She really told me that right before. She said, "Oh, don't tell anyone." But I beat this guy, and I'm like,
"Is the live stream still on? Is the live stream still on?"
Okay, we're not gonna allow her in the corner. And then we have Islamic Trivia Nights. We're doing that bi-weekly now. That's going to be this Wednesday. The bonus topic's at Adams Center, so that'll be political. And And then lastly, we have our Muslimpreneurship Networking Gala at the ICM, Islamic Center of Maryland in Gaithersburg. So you can come to that. One of the talks is going to be on community building. I'm actually on that panel, so you're more than welcome to come. We hope you have a great time. That's a lot of stuff, actually. I'm dying. So we can close out with Mr. Lesser.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم.